Hello and welcome to my little corner of the internet. My name is Katie and this is my YouTube channel, Something by Katie. Today I'm going to be doing something I haven't done in a hot minute, which is ranking my 11 newest eyeshadow palettes. I have not posted a video like this in a year. Normally I do ranking like around my 10 newest palettes, and it's taken me this long to get 11 new palettes, which is probably for the best. I've been more picky this past year with the palettes that I've purchased, and this ranking is very difficult. So I am going to do my best, and I hope I don't regret any of my rankings, but you know what? I've come to these conclusions for a reason. I'm going to try to explain it and share that with you. But honestly, almost all of these palettes are like incredible quality. 3 of them are like just average, and you'll see what I'm saying. So all in all, this is just for fun. I really like all of the palettes I've gotten in the past year. I don't regret any of my purchases, and I also want to give some shout outs to single eyeshadows that I've purchased as well, but I'm not including them in the ranking. So I'm going to go ahead and start. With the 11, 10, and 9 spots. You'll understand why I said it that way. Coming in at the bottom 3 slots, these are the palettes that are just okay. They are the e.l.f. and Dunkin Donuts palettes. I would put this one at 11, the chocolate frosted with sprinkles, strawberry frosted with sprinkles at number 10, and then at number 9, the Boston Cream palettes. Again, I don't regret getting these at all. They're very fun. I created quite a few looks with them on my Instagram, which, by the way, if you're not following me on Instagram, I've posted a lot more looks with all of these palettes over there, probably than I have on my YouTube channel, but I will link the videos that go with these palettes in the description box below, so check that out, and also follow me on Instagram if you aren't already. But I didn't really love this one that's all shimmers. It's okay. I liked the look I created with it, but this is definitely my least favorite of the palettes I've tried this year. And when it comes to these e.l.f. bite-size eyeshadow palettes, they're not all created equally. I have other ones like the hot jalapeno one and the truffles palette, which is more of a neutral palette with a really good silver shimmer. Those eyeshadow palettes are better than these Dunkin Donuts ones, but by no means are these like horrible. They're also like $3 or $4 eyeshadow palettes, so not much to complain about. I just ranked them in order of my preference of the color story. This is definitely my favorite of the colors. Before I go into number 8 in this ranking, I have to say, these are just like average. Every other palette that I am ranking is like legitimately 10 out of 10 quality. These are probably like a, I don't know, like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. Like, they're fine, they'll get the job done. I don't regret purchasing them, but they were also like $4 a piece. The rest of these palettes, they're all from indie makeup brands, independently owned makeup brands. They were all more expensive than these e.l.f. ones, and genuinely all of these have 10 out of 10 quality. I just ranked them starting from this point as based on my preferences. So these e.l.f. palettes are kind of like here. The rest of the palettes, they jump in quality from here. So I just need to clarify that. So coming in at number 8 is going to be my Glamlight Milk Chocolate palette with the Hershey Kisses collab. And again, I love Glamlight quality. This is a 10 out of 10 in terms of quality. I am just ranking this probably the lowest of my favorite palettes just because of the color story. It's neutral. I'm more into colorful eyeshadows. It's beautiful. I really love it. but I just prefer some of the other palettes that I got this past year. This one does hold a very special place in my heart though, because my husband bought it for me for Valentine's Day this year. So that was really sweet of him and thoughtful. And I love that silver pewter shade, this bronzy shade. It's good. I like that they're more neutral, like true neutral tones, with a cup that's a warmer shade, but the rest are pretty neutral. Pretty neutral. It's a really pretty eyeshadow palette, and I'm very glad that I have it. And don't forget, I'm going to link the corresponding videos that I've published on my YouTube channel, so you can see looks with each of these palettes, but also check out my Instagram. So that's number 8, and it's only number 8 because of preference in the color stories. Coming in at number 7 is an eyeshadow palette. Ranking this number 7 feels kind of like wrong, because I really do love this eyeshadow palette. Incredible quality, incredible color story. I just prefer some of the other ones. Like I keep saying, this number 7 here is going to be my Disney Encanto palette in collaboration with Alamar Cosmetics. I love Alamar Cosmetics eyeshadow formula. This is a beautiful color story. You'll notice a theme in a couple of these palettes. I think pinks and greens were pretty popular this year. I love this Vine Time, this kind of mossy, grungy green tone. I love all of the shimmer tones. I really love this like more brown champagne shimmer. It's very beautiful. This is a lovely bright gold. Really love these, but it somehow still leans pretty neutral because of the brown tones, and I just, again, prefer the color stories of some of the other shadow palettes more. But this one, I think it's sold out, so they might not even be able to sell it anymore, so you might not be able to get your hands on it, but I'm so glad that I did. I got this right when it launched. I love Alamar Cosmetics, and I really like this palette. It's great quality, from the mattes to the shimmers to the mirror packaging. I love this, and I love that this indie brand got an opportunity like this to collaborate with Disney and come out with a really big, great collection. In fact, I'm wearing some other products from this collection on my face today. I have on the I'm Blossom blush and the Flex Alert highlighter. So this is this beautiful cool tone pink blush. The Alamar blush formula is my favorite powder blush formula. And then this duochrome peachy gold highlighter I have layered with my Odin's Eye Moon Talk palette, Moon Talk highlighter. I have those highlighters layered, but yeah, I really enjoyed this Disney Encanto collection. So happy I got my hands on this beautiful eyeshadow palette. Coming in at number 6, honestly, this surprises me that it's not ranked higher, but it is what it is. I'm being honest with myself about which palettes I actually like more than each other. And coming in at number 6, not even hitting the top 5, is the Melt Gemini 2 palette. The first Gemini palette is still my all-time favorite eyeshadow palette. I love it so much. This one is more of a like a grungy rose color story. There are 3 green shades over here. The rest are all pinks and rosy tones with like this rose bronze. I really do like this shimmer, and I like that shimmer too. The reason this one is ranking a little bit lower, first of all, I like other color stories better, but I always feel, and this doesn't bother me because I have a pretty extensive makeup collection, so I don't mind mixing and matching, but I always tend to want to mix something else in with this palette. Like I will bring in a single eyeshadow, like my Hourglass Scattered Light in the shade Reflect. It is like a little bit of a lighter rose gold shade, and I like to mix that in. Or I have mixed in my auric, what's it called? Smoke Reflect in the shade Entice, which is like a green tone. Or I've used as well the cream olive tone with that Gemini 2. And again, there's nothing wrong with mixing and matching, but I'm being really, really nitpicky in this ranking. So I'm just ranking it a little lower because it doesn't necessarily always stand alone on its own. But like I said, I really do like this kind of bronzy pink tone. It's a really unique shade in my collection. I really like that shade. I think this is a pretty common critique, but I don't know if both of these matte shades were necessary. One of them could have been more of a shimmer, or even just like a little bit more of a purple light tone, like that might have been better. But I don't think both of those shades were necessary. Maybe this one could have been a little bit more purple leaning or a shimmer, but regardless, I do really like this palette. I'm so glad that I got it. It's a great companion to the original Gemini palette. I love using those two palettes together. Let me pull this out just so you can see it. I think the green shades in particular go really, really well together. I like using this green shade Goals as a companion, and even this this shade right here, Gemini. Anyway, this one's at number 6 because it kind of needs a partner in crime, which nothing wrong with that, but I'm being real nitpicky in this ranking. Okay, now we have the top 5 palettes that I've tried in the last year, and coming in at number 5 is the another Melt Cosmetics palette, the Mary Jane palette. This is the palette I got the longest ago, because I did get this when it launched. This is without a doubt, it's kind of fragile, but that's okay. This is the best neutral eyeshadow palette that I own. I freaking love this. I love that there are some green tones down here, some silvery pewter shades, some cool mid-tone mattes, a bronze, and then some lighter shimmer tones as well. I used this eyeshadow palette for my engagement photos last year. I wore this when we got our engagement photos taken. I've worn this many times, aside from just those, but that was like a really notable for me, and I definitely wanted to rank this one above the Gemini 2 because this palette is a really complete color story to me. I'm able to use it. It's really versatile. Like I said, I used it for those photos, so it's really special and sentimental to me. But I just love this palette. Anytime I'm in a rush, I can just open this. I'll keep it on my makeup desk and just even dip into just this shade or just that shade and rub that in through the crease and good to go. Without adding a shimmer or anything, I simply love this eyeshadow palette. I think it is stunning, and it's such a good one. And I got this when it launched last year. This was their 420 release last year, but I do keep this plastic shield in there still because these shades are really on the ends. They came broken and they're a little fragile, so I just keep that in there. I don't really travel with this palette too much, unfortunately, because it is fragile, but I don't love it any less. Number 4 and number 3 were an internal battle. It was really hard to pick what to put at number 4 versus what to put at number 3. And ultimately, I decided for the number 4 spot to put the newest palette in my collection of all of these that I'm ranking today. That would be the Soulmane 2 from, I don't even think I'm pronouncing that correctly, from Eye. It's a Swedish indie brand, so I don't think I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's basically the Sun and Moon palette. The artwork is stunning. I am using it on my face with another palette in like combination together, but this is the color story for the Soul Mane 2, and this is number 4, because I think the number 3 palette, I just like the color story slightly more. The formula, again, on all of these palettes, 8 and above, they are 10 out of 10. Incredible quality. It's all nitpicky preference stuff. But I really do love this palette. On my eyes today, I'm using shades from the purple row. So I'm using this shimmer shade on the outer portion, this purple shade in the outer crease, this lavender shade is in my inner corners, and then this lavender shimmer is on the inner portion of, just on the other side of that, that matte lavender shade. I have only gotten this palette within the last couple of weeks, and it has quickly become a favorite. It's my second Eye palette ever, and I absolutely love it. It's so versatile. It's such a fun, summery color story. I am just really enjoying playing with it. After this eye look that I have on today, I really want to do like an orangey yellow sunset look and kind of use some of those pink shimmers from this Encanto palette. That's kind of what I'm craving next, is combining these palettes, using the yellow and orange matte, and then using the pink, those 2 pink shimmer shades, maybe pulling in that yellow gold. I really do enjoy combining different eyeshadow palettes. This one stands alone for sure. And oh, I have to give a shout out to this shade Neptune right here. This is one of the most unique matte shades in my collection. I'm so happy to have this palette. It's like a gray tone, mid-tone blue. It's so beautiful and so cool. I absolutely love that particular shade, and this palette in general, it's stunning. Again, the packaging, gorgeous. I love the artwork, really good quality. It was hard not to get this in the top 3, but when you see my top 3, you'll understand why. So, coming in at number 3 with that bronze medal, I had to put this above that Soul Mane 2 palette. It is the another Melt Cosmetics palette, the Amor y Mariposas palette. Wow, talk about stunning artwork on the packaging. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I think I just like this color story a little bit more than that Soul Mane 2. It has a lot of similar tones. Like, it has some sunset vibes with with the yellows and oranges and pinks and purples, but I really love this green row up at the very top. It's so stunning. This orange shade Mariposa is like one of the brightest shimmer shades. It's like almost neon. It's like literal Cheeto dust in the most beautiful way. That's such a pretty shade. I like that there is a neutral row. If I want to kind of go a little bit more neutral with this palette, I am able to, but I can also punch it up. In this shade Abuelita right here is also very like almost neon. These shades go so dark and grungy, and you can add so much depth. Again, I will link to other videos creating multiple looks with this palette. I got this back in December, and it's amazing. I wore it on Christmas. I actually combined it with the green, it's like a sparkly emerald green liquid liner from the Alamar Cosmetics Encanto collection. I combined some of these shadows with that liquid eyeliner. It was beautiful. I wore that on Christmas, And yeah, I just have had so much fun playing with this, and I just ultimately put this higher than the Soul Mane 2 palette because it's more versatile. It has really deep dark shades that Soul Mane palette does not have. But this is another palette that I'd like to use in conjunction with that Odin's Eye palette because it just has so much to offer. It's so stunning. I love this palette, and it's my first melt palette that's not like this shape, like the long skinny packaging. It's like their first, I think their first mega palette, and I had to get it. I love that it's matte heavy, like there aren't as many shimmer shades in this one. I love it. Love it. It's such a good palette. Okay, we are at the final two, and the number 2 palette that I got in the past year, I would have to say, is the Heather Austin and Adept Cosmetics palette. This palette is really cool. Oh my gosh, I don't think I owned multi-chromes before this palette. I'm trying to move this palette so you can see some of the shifts in the shimmer shades. Oh my god, this palette is so stunning. I love it. I'm really, really glad that I got my hands on this. I have hardly put this down since I got it a couple months ago. I took this palette with me to one of my best friend's bachelorette parties in Miami, and I used it on my eyes and I used it on friends' eyes, and it was just the perfect punch with bright shades. I love all of these. I think that there are a perfect amount of like matte shades. Like there are these 2 green ones, there's this mid-tone brown one which makes it more neutral with this dark purple to deepen it up. Like I am able to get quote-unquote wearable work looks out of this palette using like Atlas, PaO2, So Excited, and maybe Passport, or So Excited in 0603. I'm able to get some like work appropriate looks, but I can also go super, super bold with this and colorful with this palette. However, it's coming in at number 2 as opposed to number 1 because I think my number 1 choice is just more versatile for my makeup preferences. However, this introduced me to a really great formula in Adept Cosmetics. I had never tried anything from this brand before, and I'm so excited to try more multi-chromes, not just from this brand, but from other indie brands in the future. I just, you see that like goes bright green and then orange. This one's like blue, purple. There are so many colors, so many shifty shades in this palette. It is stunning. I'm probably not even looking at the camera, like I'm just looking at this palette while I'm talking about it. I can't take my eyes off of it. This is for sure a new favorite in my collection. So glad that Heather Austin really knocked it out of the park with this collab palette. I'm so glad that I got my hands on it. And then finally, coming in at the number 1 spot, top palette that I purchased in the past year so far, is the first Odin's Eye eyeshadow palette that I got, which is what inspired me to get this Soul Mane 2 palette that I talked about earlier, and that is the Hella palette from Angelica and Odin's Eye. This is also a collaboration palette, and this is the other palette that's on my eyes today. I used these 2 pink shades on the outer portion. I used this beautiful duochrome. This is, yeah, this beautiful duochrome called River. It's like purples and greens and mint. Maybe this is a multi-chrome. But I used River. It's that color on the center of my lid. And then I used the shade Soot to deepen up the outer lower portion of my eyes. I absolutely love this palette. It's number 1 because it is so versatile. I can get so many different types of looks out of this. I also am such a sucker for greens. I love these first 2 rows. Oh, I love this palette. It's good to bring in with other palettes. It's also good to use completely by itself. I can wear, I can create neutral looks with this just using the shade Wolf, deepening up with Decay, using the shade Hellfire. It looks really pink in the pan, but it's actually like more peachy neutral on the eyelids. See what I'm saying? Like, it's beautiful. I love this multi-chrome down here, double-sided. I love this. The green tones are incredible. I can create all matte looks with this, and I can create really vibrant, cool shimmer looks. I can do dark, deep, smoky, grungy looks, or really light and bright with the pinks and or the greens, or the combination of all of them. I'm just so glad I got this palette. It speaks to my soul in a way that's sent this to the immediate #1 spot for me anyway. I prefer, I love shimmer shades, don't get me wrong, they're amazing. I've grown to really love multi-chromes and duochromes, but there's something to me about really good matte shades, much like what I was talking about in that Melt Amore y Mariposas palette. I love how many amazing matte shades there are in this palette. I love this really deep, dark, almost black, but still like purpley toned shade Soot. I love this shade Decay and Ouroboros, and even Complete, this like shimmery black shade. They just add so much richness and depth, and I like these two pastel, Rebirth and Hella. Like, I can use those in my inner corners or just on the lid. Like, there's just so much versatility with this palette, and Angie absolutely killed it. And it opened my eyes to how amazing the Odin's Eye formula is, and now I've got a second palette, and I ordered the, like I mentioned earlier, I have this highlighter from the Soulmane 2 palette, or Soulmane 2 collection on my cheeks today. I got a couple of the eyeliners, which are definitely not as good as the highlighter in the eyeshadow palette, but I'm opened my eyes to new brands, trying new products, and I just love this one. It is stunning. And again, follow me on Instagram because I am doing a lot of looks over there. I want to give a couple of honorable mention shout outs. They're not included in the ranking because they are just individual eyeshadows, but I do want to point out that back in December, I believe it was, I did purchase one of the holiday shades from Auric, the Smoke Reflect in the green tone Entice. This is kind of it looks white in the pan, but it's really like an olive gold tone, and it has a beautiful, like, I honestly think I prefer this olive green cream shade to that shimmer one. But I really love these eyeshadows. This is my second one. I also own the like silver pewter one called Ego. Whereas with this one, I prefer this shade. I like the formula of it a little bit better, the Entice one, but this also has that lovely cream shade. I find that with the Entice shade, this powder shadow is really dry. This one is more creamy and easy to pick up on my finger, but I still really do like this. I just think it's a different powder formula than the Ego shade. I did get this in the past year. Really happy with this purchase, and that she's expanding the range on those Smoke Reflex. Like, she had just come out with like the silver, bronze, and rosy gold shade, but now she has this olive green one, and there's also a cranberry one. I skipped that, but just so you know, I did get that, and I really like it. And then I also got 2 loose duochrome pigments from the brand It's Belle Cosmetics, a small indie brand, and I got 2 loose duochrome pigments from their Pearly Gates collection. One I got is called Angelical, and the other is called Cotton Cloud. I gotta be really careful. They come in these little jars, and I just want to show you on my finger. They are, again, loose pigments, so I have to be really careful. This is this shade Angelical, and then I'll show you Cotton Cloud. Angelical has a pink tone to it, but it also has like a blue-green undertone, and then this other shade Cotton Cloud is like pink with a purple blue undertone. So this is Angelical and this is Cotton Cloud. That's Cotton Cloud, that's Angelical. See what I mean with more of the green tone with the pink shift, and then this is more of that blue purple with the pink shift. Angelical, Cotton Cloud. These are stunning. I just use, well, this is just swatched on the back of my hand, like just with my fingers, nothing is down. There might be a little bit of leftover from my face. I'm wearing the It Cosmetics CC cream. I did put that on the back of my hands when I was doing my complexion earlier. So there might be a little bit of a base on here, but there's not like a glitter glue or an eyeshadow primer on my hand for these swatches. That's just how they look. But when I'm putting these on my eyes, I do use a glitter glue. I find that that helps avoid any fallout and is just keeps the mess to a minimum, because it is a loose pigment. So I'm just so afraid I'm gonna drop one of these and lose it. But I've been really loving these. They're my first like loose pigments, and again, they come in these little jars. They were really affordable from the e.l.f. website. And yeah, I just wanted to give those single shadows some love, because I did purchase those within the past year and really have been enjoying those. And like I mentioned, I used that auric one. I've used it a couple of times in conjunction with both of those melt palettes, the Melt Gemini 2 palette as well as the Mary Jane palette. And then these shades I have been using with like the pink shadows in here. That's been really fun to combine that and just other eyeshadow palettes that I have. So yeah, what are the best eyeshadow palettes you have tried in the past year? You can give me a ranking of however many you've purchased in the comments below, or just even your top 3. What are your favorite palettes? What do you think about my ranking? I know it's, again, based on my preferences, not really based on quality, because they're all really high quality, except for those e.l.f. palettes. Those I just got because of the branding, and they were really fun. They're fine. You can get cute looks out of them, but the other palettes are just 10 out of 10, really high quality. But yeah, give this video, if you enjoyed watching it, give it a thumbs up. Maybe hit subscribe if you enjoyed watching it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.